Alongside Brock Heward in the booth, I'm Kate Scott. And Brock, we usually at this point talk about a quarterback, talk about a game break. Weather's starting to get a bit colder, but playoff hopes burning bright as ever for most of our teams as we get underway here in Week 12. And pretty solid field position starting out here, Brock. He's tackled at the 29. So here comes their offense for its opening drive. And we'll get a look at a man who's been around the block quite a few times now in the NFL.
Hey, Kate, you don't have to look beyond his performance last week as really a root cause of their loss. I'm not saying the only cause. Others certainly had a hand in it too. But you aren't winning a lot of games in this league or any league if you turn it over 3 times without a touchdown to counteract them. A lot of room for him to improve this week.
Has him on the quick hitter. And he's out of bounds beyond the 35-yard line.
That is the epitome of staying on schedule. That kind of completion right there on first down. Well, it opens up the entirety of the playbook for second down. And the 3rd and short in your back pocket, you can get even more aggressive and take.
He's got it inside the 25. He does it. Touchdown. The Thunderbirds take a 6-0 lead right away. Well, Brock, they could prove me wrong, but I don't think touchdowns are going to come that easily the rest of this game. But starting out, we all welcome the quick score.
Yeah, not a lot of energy exerted, right? Not a lot of their cards shown just yet. They only got a couple plays into their strategy, and they found pay dirt. A lot of mystery still to come with what they're going to do schematically. A lot of answers have to be found defensively.
That one splits the uprights. And the Thunderbirds will jump out to a 7-0 lead. And after they reach the end zone, they'll kick it off and turn things over to the defense. This one's fielded at the 4-yard line. Coverage team gets him down at the 26-yard line. So here now are the Buccaneers on offense to begin their first drive. And they'll be led out by the longtime veteran at QB.
The biggest mistake you can make here is letting his offense get suckered into trying and matching the pace while the opposition just set. Even if it's a quick score to begin the game, he's got to have the poise and the patience here to run the opening script they've planned for all week long. Play your game and not let the circumstances dictate and force your hand early.
And they get him down after a solid gain up to the 31. 2nd and 6 coming up here.
It's now 2nd and 6.
From the 31. This finds Mitchell complete. And he's out of bounds beyond the 35-yard line. That one ends up a gain of 6. And that's good for a Buccaneer first down. Dropping back to throw. And this time they're going to get there, and they drop him. And the big play drives them backwards. 2nd down coming up.
All right, first sack on the board on the first drive as a defense, and now, well, now we let the chess match begin, the adjustments begin, because we know pressure leads to sacks, and sacks in this league often leads to wins.
Trying again following the sack. He lobs it up, looking deep to the right side. And disaster averted. He knocks away the deep ball, incomplete. So after that prior incompletion, we've got 3rd down. He's going to throw this one. Forced out to his right. Trying to get away from the pressure, but he can't, and they drop him. And the defense comes through. That's going to back him up and bring up 4th down.
I don't know why, Kate, but when I'm thinking of this series that we all just watched, I'm just hearing the sound thud. Not a whole lot of other ways to describe the set of downs that we just watched and the results that followed. It was 3rd and extra long, and now it's 4th and forever.
Tampa Bay in punt formation now. They needed 3 punts out of him in last week's loss as he sends this away. Escapes a defender. And he's brought down before the return gets far. The Thunderbirds and their quarterback ready to take over once again. And he's been one who has wowed the league and made a lot of fantasy owners very happy too. You can see he's leading all quarterbacks in passing here in November. Throwing with a blitz on the way. Cuts a couple of defenders and completes it. And he'll be brought down a step or two shy of midfield. They're going to mark him at the 48. 2nd and 6 coming up here. From the 48. So this one on the defense. And as this play goes out of bounds, all eyes turn to that flag on the field.
Defense.
An avoidable mistake, and that one's going to set the coaches off more than almost any other. And now they're going to mark off the yardage. Here's 1st and 10 from the 34. Back to throw. Short pass brought in. And he's going to be brought down at the 23-yard line. And that one goes for a gain of 11. And that'll be a 1st down. Now looking to throw. Finds him over the middle. And he'll go down here at the 16.
The goal of running that drag route is to get it to him for at least a minimal gain with space to add after that. They picked up a good chunk, and there was nearly room to add even more.
From the 16. Completed over the middle. And he'll get this inside the 10 to the 9. They find 7 yards, and now they've got 1st and goal. He'll throw it yet again. And his perfect start is over. And that's the first one of his throws to wind up incomplete. So the incompletion on 1st, here's 2nd and goal. They'll try and punch it in. And he's going to get taken down near the goal line. It's a gain down to the 1. Call it 8 yards, and it's 3rd and goal. They're headed up the middle. And he gets in. Touchdown. The Thunderbirds take a 13-0 lead. A lot of pressure on him in that moment, Brock. Find a way to score. Don't let it go to 4th and goal. And he finds a way to come through and gets in the end zone for 6.
Now, how about the other side? Beating the defense right there as well. That group who was so close to pulling off the goal line stand, yet all that motivation wasn't enough to stop him on 3rd and goal.
That one right down the middle. And the Thunderbirds drive out to an early 14-0 lead. They put a touchdown on the board, and now they'll send it away. He fields it from the 8. He's stopped on the return at the 27. Tampa Bay sending its offense out. Their 2nd drive coming up. And they're certainly hoping for some better results here after that 1st drive ended in a punt. They'll start with a give to Harris. And he found some running room for a nice gain. Give him 9 yards. He almost moved the chains there. It's going to be 2nd and 1.
Brings up 2nd and a yard.
Fakes the handoff. Now to throw. Hauled in left side. And he's down after getting this up to the 41. A 5-yard gain on the play. And that's good enough for a Tampa 1st down. Back to throw. He's got it over the middle. And not much doing. He stopped quickly. They'll come to the line here. 2nd and 9.
At the 42-yard line.
Setting up a throw. Don't try forcing it to the slants. It's intercepted. And the Thunderbirds take over as he records his 10th career INT.
I've not yet in my lifetime come across a defender who hasn't told me how great an offensive player they were back in the day. Oh, you should have seen me as a running back or wide receiver. Well, right there, that defender showed some of that background. A brilliant job of getting into the open field and setting his offense up for success.
Their offense ready to take the field now. And while one sideline has 0 points, this offense, well, they have had 0 issues so far getting into that end zone.
They are rolling right now, Kate, and unless there's a speed bump on the immediate horizon, things are at risk of getting out of hand.
Touchdown! And with that score, he's reached a benchmark he's long had his eye on. 30 touchdowns in one season. And he's going to come away pleased with how well he has played to put up that kind of number this year. PAT effort coming up. Extra point sent right down the middle. And the Thunderbirds push their lead to 21-zip already.
Buccaneers, nothing.
Now after the touchdown, they'll kick it back and see what the opposition can do. Here's Carter on the return. And he's going to make this to the 28 before going down. The Buccaneer offense back out for another series. They are coming off their first interception of the game. This drive now a chance to rebuild some confidence. Drive starts out with a 1st and 10. Looking to throw here and shake off that previous INT. Defender arrives right as the ball does, and the hit knocks it free. Incomplete. No dice on that prior pass. Here's 2nd down. He'll look to throw. Throws off the rip, but it's incomplete.
Hey, Kate, I know it's unrealistic to expect a 100% completion rate from anywhere on the field. But in this close, you really shouldn't be missing too many throws. Those need to be borderline automatic.
They get to him and bring him down. And the defense comes through to back him up ahead of 4th down.
Kate, it's pretty clear, isn't it? It's this constant pressure that this defense has imposed on this offense to keep them out of rhythm and build up this lead. This offense is not going to author a comeback if this quarterback continues to run for his life.
The Buccaneers out and into punt formation. And after that drive went backwards, he's going to send this one forward. First punt win 45 yards. This looks considerably further. Signaling fair catch, and he takes it in at the 37. We don't get a return out of that punt. And it'll be their football. The Thunderbirds are being led back out there on offense by their quarterback. And he sure has put on that chef's hat to dice up their defense early in this one. Quite the appetizer that he's prepared to what could be a great overall performance. And the defense gets there to force a small loss.
Well, he was supposed to be the one who chipped away a few and got a new set of downs started right in rhythm. Instead, he's now forced to pick himself from behind the line thanks to a great effort defensively.
Escapes the pocket. He's going to tuck it and run. And he's got a decent gain before being brought down.
Well, this is in every quarterback's tool belt, even the ones not regarded as the best movers and shakers. But, Kate, to play QB in the league today, you've got to be able to do this. If you've got nobody open, still get some positive yards with your legs.
And he's brought down right in the neighborhood of that 40-yard line. A 19-yard pickup, and that's going to move the chains.
Every tight end worth his salt wanted this. Really craved man-to-man coverage. The best of them, give me man-to-man coverage, and I'm going to beat you. I was around Dallas Clark and Indy, one of the best. You play man-to-man, he's going to find a way to out-leverage you, separate from you, and make a play just as that tight end did.
That one's complete right side. It's a 23-yard pickup on the play. And they're going to have a 1st down.
I think my favorite part was the magic he worked after the catch. The way he took the completion and made so much more out of it by adding all the extra yardage.
Blown back in the backfield, and he gets the handoff. And he's caught behind the line for a loss.
That's got to be so frustrating for the runner. You're fighting the good fight. He even ripped through a tackle to stay afloat, but the blocking can't buy you enough time or room to even get back to the line of scrimmage.
On 2nd and 12 now. Connecting on the slant. And it's good yardage, but they tackle him short of the sticks. And for the Buccaneers, it's a nickel look. 3rd down coming. He'll throw it. He's on the move. This time they're going to get there, and they drop it. And the defense comes through, and that's going to back them up and bring up 4th down. That's the end of one, and yikes, things looking a little out of hand already. 21-0 our score. More from Raymond James Stadium coming up after the break. So on 4th down, they'll settle for a field goal attempt. This is going to be a 32-yarder from the left hash. And it is good. No problems there on the shorter attempt. And they come away with some points on that series.
Anytime you start sniffing that red zone and you don't score 6, you only come away with 3 points. Not what you were looking for on the call sheet.
Evans now to return. And he gets across the 30 before he's brought down. Now the Buccaneers set to take the field. And coming off a 3-and-out, Brock, they really need to build some momentum from the ground as they try to get on that scoreboard here. Airing it out to start this drive. Looking underneath, and the back brings it in. And he'll go down, and we'll say right at the 39-yard line. After a good pickup, they're set up with 2nd and short. From the 39. Cut out left. And he's out of bounds past midfield. It's a pickup of 11. And that's good for a Buccaneer 1st down. Slot man in motion left. Oh, he taps it quick to the receiver coming across here. And he's brought down for a loss.
You can keep your job in the NFL as a D tackle if you eat up space. You really can. But you make that bag when you could defeat blocks, penetrate, and create runs for losses as a defensive tackle.
Here's 2nd and 11. Bails out of the pocket quick. And he's officially in enemy territory now. They're going to give him the opposing 49. 3rd and 10. Can this offense get it done? Pass play now. Throw left side, complete. And a solid gain there. Gets him across the 45 before he goes out.
You know, I like the completion. You never turn down a completion. That's just not the right throw to make in that spot to move the chains.
And that one is not where he needed it to be. It is off and no good. And that miss follows the pattern of how well things have gone for them here.
Hey, listen, I know kickers are arguably better today than they've ever been in the history of football. But anything from 60-plus is still awfully ambitious. And that time, it didn't pan out.
Offense ready to begin this drive. 1st and 10. Now he'll throw off the play fake. Finds his fullback. And he takes it past midfield and starts the drive into Buccaneers territory. 2nd down now, 7 to go.
Brings up 2nd and 7 at the 47-yard line.
From the 47. Tight end reels in the shallow throw. And he's brought down after a short gain. 3rd and 6 for them to figure out now. He's dropping back to throw. Complete beyond the marker. And he's tackled with the 1st down yardage.
You know, they call that the money down for a reason, because you're just simply not going to last long in the NFL if you don't convert a good portion of your 3rd downs. It's the money down. And nice to see them roll the dice and continue the series.
Has him on the quick hitter. And defenders arriving in support to finish him off at the line. 2nd and 10, need to get some positive yardage here. Still sticking with the passing game. Catch made over the middle. And this is down to the 28 before the defense halts it.
It's not just imperative that a quarterback knows man or zone. Same thing for a receiver, especially on a drag route. When he sees zone coverage like that, just settle down, find the soft spot, give the quarterback a chance.
And he has it down officially to the red zone at the 20. Give him 9 on that play, and it's enough for the first.
That's what we call situational football. You spend all week working on your nickel passing game package to take advantage of third downs just like that.
All set up now for 1st and 10. From the red zone now. And he's tackled after gaining a handful.
Well, that's a pretty similar result to a first down run play. Moves it forward, keeps you on schedule, and makes 2nd and 3rd down a whole lot easier to manage.
The give here on 2nd. And he's short of the first after a mile gain. Give him 4 yards there, and they only need 1 more now on 3rd down. They'll throw it. He brings it in. And he'll get them enough for a 1st down.
You're not going to last long in the National Football League if you don't convert a good chunk of your 3rd downs. Nice find there to continue the series.
He's got it on the bootleg. And he's just going to get rid of this one. Smart move there. When you saw the field, it's going to be 2nd down. There's a give, left side. And he's still looking for the play that sparks the ground game as that one stopped for a loss.
Well, they were hoping to get outside and meet those guys at the 2nd level. Well, someone from the 2nd level came to beat him on his turf. And that meeting didn't go so well.
3rd and long for him here. And he's into the end zone. Touchdown. The Thunderbirds making this a laugher before halftime. Ooh, baby, Brock, this one has gotten well out of hand.
You think so? I think this is utter domination. Going to be a lot of questions to be answered. I'm going to guess this is a press conference the coach isn't looking for.
Close play here, so the officials want to take a second look at it.
The previous play is under review.
Well, we're going to see how much of a sideline maven he is, Brock. This one very close, whether he got the feet down or not.
And I'm so impressed by all these mavens because you've got to make that transition from college where 1 foot, you're good.
Yep.
But not at this level. You've got to be a ballerina. You've got to get those toes both in, and the replay booth will be the judge of it.
They took a look just to be safe. You always appreciate that, but the call on the field stands. That one splits the uprights. And the Thunderbirds grow their lead yet again. Following the touchdown, they'll kick it back and see what the opposition has in store. Here's Carter on the return. And look at this return. And it's a nice return here. They'll tackle him shy of the 35. Here come the Bucs on offense now. They left a few on the table there last time out, Brock, settling for a field goal try that missed the mark. Ball at the 33 for 1st down. Throwing it to start this drive. This one delivered off target, Brock. That's incomplete. Not on the same page with his tight end. So it'll be 2nd down. Throwing now from the gun. Caught by the tight end, running that corner. And they catch up to him, but not until he's got a huge gain and a 1st down.
1st and 10 at the 39-yard line.
Looking to the air here. He keeps those feet in and makes the catch.
Every once in a while, it's fine to be conservative on 1st down, especially when you get enough to stay on schedule and get a little something coming out of it, too.
We're at the 2-minute warning now from Raymond James. The Buccaneers facing a deficit near the break. Halfway to the marker, it's 2nd and 5. They kick the running back in motion. From the 34. Completed over the middle. And he gets down to the 24 before he stopped. They come through with a nice gain of 10 and a first down.
First and 10 at the 24-yard line.
He'll throw it yet again. An alert play defensively there. He got a hand on it to tip it away, and that makes it second down.
Brings up second and 10 at the 24-yard line.
Throwing it again here. Escapes the pocket. Ooh, look at this. Here he goes. And this play reaches the 12-yard line before the stop is made. It's a gain of 12 there. And that's good enough for a Tampa first down. Working inside the red zone. Pass caught along the sideline by Mitchell. And he drives this down to the 8 before going out. 2nd and 6 coming up here.
It's now 2nd and 6.
Running back sent in motion. Shotgun snap, looking to throw. This one's caught. And he'll go down shy of the end zone. They mark him at the 4. Timeout taken by the Buccaneers. They're first. Short yardage situation here. It's 3rd and 2. Pass play coming here. Sideline throw is incomplete. Should have been intercepted in all reality. Instead, 4th down coming up.
Oh, that was such an opportunity lost. They were looking for a way out without giving up any points on the series. And instead, well, he just couldn't quite hang on.
On the move, headed. No place to go. They get him to the turf and force a turnover on downs.
Well, this one never had a chance. Between the pressure right there in his face and the coverage downfield, quarterback still should have at least thrown it up there and given somebody an opportunity to make a play.
The offense returning to the field now as we get a look at their wideouts. They are running away with this one, so probably content to just take this into the half. The clock reads 24 seconds now as the final drive of this half begins. They're going to throw here to begin the drive. Finds the in route complete. And that tackle stops him after a solid gain.
A 6-yard pickup brings up 2nd and 4 at the 25-yard line.
That brings us to the midway point of this game. It's the Thunderbirds enjoying a lead on the road. Now we'll keep it in-state, but send you a couple hours away to our buddy in Orlando. It's Jonathan Coachman. He's got our EA Sports halftime report.
Okay, Kate, thanks very much. And welcome in, everyone. This is the EA Sports Halftime Report. So let's get you caught up on what's going on around the National Football League. We'll begin up at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, where you see the final score there. The Broncos need to string a few wins together here down the stretch, but this last one moves them back above 500 at 6-5. From there, we say, so long, America. Hello, England, as we head over the Atlantic to check out the action in London. And as you see, they were losers earlier this afternoon. 17-10, the final score. And then lastly, on Monday Night Football, those fans will be riled up as it'll be a good matchup between their guys and what equates to be a very tough opponent. The highlights from the first half, all one-sided. This one got out of hand early, and now you have to wonder how these teams will approach this
Let's see what the back half has
because this
in
one's
store
already
as
close
we
to
get
being in the
started
bag
in the
if
third
it's not
quarter.
already.
Returning it from the 4. This return makes it up to the 25. Tampa Bay sending its offense out to begin the third quarter. And this game might be going better if he could have some more time just to work back there. This pass rush has been all over them. Really keeps taking this offense out of any grooves that they've managed to get into.
Okay, I like to say in life there's energy givers and there's energy vampires.
Yeah.
And for this defense, these sacks right here, they're such energy givers. And, man, it's like a vampire sucking the juice out of an offense.
Yeah, I love that. Looking right, and he finds him. And he's brought down after a nice gain and a first down.
I may love watching a great thrower, but I love watching a well-done route too, Kate. Make that guy think you're trying to stack him only to drop your hips and cut right inside. Some good work to help reset those chains.
Just got a hand up on that to break it up. So second down coming up.
It's second down and 10.
Back to throw now. Short pass brought in. And he's tackled for a short gain. Stopped on the play by the rookie from Tennessee. Here he is on 3rd and long. Finds him over the middle. And they're going to haul him down just shy of the 40. They'll get 14 yards and a new set of downs. 1st and 10 from the 41. Motioning him from the slot right. They'll throw it again. Throwing the out route complete. And they make the stop. We're going to say at about the 37-yard line. Halfway to the marker. It's 2nd and 5.
At the 37-yard line.
Out of the gun. They'll give it to him inside. And not a lot of room for him as he's brought down. Now after the run, we see some trainers headed out for an injured player who was shaken up. 3rd and just 2 to go. They'll try and throw it here. He has the first over the middle. And he's able to drive this to the 29 before the stop. They'll come up 1st and 10.
First down. 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line.
Looking for a throw here. Hits him on the out route. And he takes this one nearly to the red zone before going out. After a good pickup, they've got 2nd and 4.
Brings up 2nd and 4.
From the 23. Into the hands of Jefferson, complete. And they get this down to the 10-yard line before going down. They have themselves another 1st and 10.
1st and 10 at the 10-yard line.
They are throwing it again. Almost had 6, but can't find him in the end zone. Incomplete.
Defensive coaches in the NFL say it all the time. Limit the big play. Keep these guys in front of you. Well, this defense is going to have to stay vigilant because this receiver, he could take the lid off a defense at any time.
And he'll go down shy of the end zone. They mark him at the 4. Now, hang on. Looks like somebody came out after that play a little shaken up. Not sure we saw exactly what happened, but he'll get some assistance now. Chance to move the chains here on 3rd and 4. Here's a throw. And they're going to take this to the end zone for a Tampa Bay touchdown. The Buccaneers cut into the lead coming out of halftime. Well, Brock, this one has not been good to them so far, but they are still fighting and able to get in there for 6.
Just a drive that was all about scratching and clawing. As much as anything, Kate, it was just a pride drive to go and get your job done.
That one right down the middle. And the Buccaneers get it back to a full 3 possessions now, 24 points. The Bucs get lined up, and they will kick this away. Here's a return from the 7. Finds some space. He's past the 30. And a good return here as he gets it out past the 35. The Thunderbirds ready for their next series, led out on offense by their quarterback. And as we're reminded of some of the highlights of this game, his touchdowns ranking quite high among them. We're going to see 3 of them here, and if you're scoring like that, Brock, it normally means you've had a pretty darn good game. Markers reset, ball at the 37. On 1st down, they'll run. And he's downed after getting this up to the 41. First down play nets him 5. It's going to be 2nd and 5.
Brings up 2nd and 5.
Back-to-back carries here. Breaks the tackle, still going. And he'll pick up enough to move the chains.
Some backs are easier to tackle than others. Some, well, they just choose violence. They look for those opportunities to bust through tackles and keep those legs pumping.
Going to the ground again on first. And that carry only nets 1 on the plunge up the gut.
Okay, that's a run that's ho-hum on the stat sheet, but if you see a bigger play on the ground later on, it'll largely be because of a play just like that one, softening up the front and opening the door for a bigger gap in the future.
Connects on the crosser. And he's brought down right in the neighborhood of that 40-yard line. A nice gain of 13 yards as it brings up a first down.
A gain of 13 yards. First down, Thunderbirds.
Shotgun snap, looking to throw. And he gets down to the 24 before he stopped. Give him 15 yards on the pickup there. And that gives them the first.
And a Louisville first down.
That is what elite offenses are all about. Why worry about 3 downs when you need only 1? Move the chains in one play and keep driving that defense backwards.
To throw here on first down. Chase step. And this time they're going to get there, and they drop him. And the big play drives them backwards. 2nd down coming up.
And look at that. All that effort and success from the previous play, it is gone. Credit to this defense who snapped and cleared. That's part of this game. You got to snap and clear. Give up a big play, come back and make a big one for yourself. And they do, getting home with that sack.
Back to the line they go. It's 2nd down. Now a give on the counter. And he's going to take this only to about the 31. Just 1 yard. Could have used considerably more. That's going to bring up 3rd and very long. They're throwing it. Dump off caught by his back. And they bring him down. Looks like he got it to the 27.
It's plays like that, Kate, right, wrong. Where I sit and judge a defense. I judge the awareness. I judge how well that coordinator's got him equipped to see what's going on the field, and not just see it, but attack it. And they devoured that screen game on 3rd down.
And that one is good. A little longer, but no problem at all. And that grows the lead to 27.
Inspiring a bunch of confidence in himself right there, Kate. 2nd time they brought him out for a field goal, and 2nd time, well, he's knocked it right through. Trust is earned in a number of different ways on the field, but that's the best way to gain it as a kicker.
And a decent return ends as they bring him down inside the 30. This offense headed back to the field, led by their receiver. They'll get this drive started. 1st and 10. They really had the passing game clicking on that last touchdown drive, partner. We'll see if they stick with that or if they mix things up a bit on this series. Pocket isn't holding up. They're able to drop him. And the big play drives them backwards. 2nd down coming up.
A loss of 5 brings up 2nd and 15 at the 24-yard line.
Another try following the sack. He'll get this to Jefferson. And this one does not go far. Wonder what's in the playbook here as they come up on 3rd and 11. Dropping back to throw. Made the throw as he was getting hit, Brock, and it's incomplete. No luck finding his receiver that time. So that brings up 4th and long. On now comes their punter. And they could really use a good one here. And he sends this away. Definitely his best kick of the game thus far. And a fair catch made without incident just inside the 25. Their offense returning to the field for another possession. And taking a look at these highlights, Brock, just a reminder of the type of game that they have had throwing the football. It really has been the key to their success.
Yeah, they've just not only stayed on schedule here, Kate. Man, they've made some music, right? Great rhythm.
Yeah.
Not just ahead of schedule, but huge plays have followed. We've seen a lot of different looks and wrinkles throughout this performance, and it's been a joy to watch.
Finds a man right side. And he gets a small chunk there before he's touched down. Halfway to the marker. It's 2nd and 5. Here's a give up the middle. And he's brought down up across the 30-yard line. 2 yards on the pickup, and that leaves him with 3rd down and 3. Back now, pressure on its way. That one's complete, right side. And he's down after getting this up to the 41. They come through with a nice gain there. Gain of 10, 1st down.
Well, that is pretty darn impeccable timing between the two. To hit a curl route of that length, it takes great anticipation and precision by the quarterback, and the receiver on the other end finishing it, doing his job.
They go play action on 1st. Flushed it. And this time they're going to get there, and they drop it. And the big play drives them backwards. 2nd down coming up. That's the end of the 3rd on Sunday night. This one, well, it has been a rough watch for the hometown guys. Their side getting blown out as we begin the 4th. They really need some chunk yardage here on 2nd down. Trying again following the sack. Dumps it off to his running back.
That's a defense's goal, right, Kate? Just get us to 3rd down so we can have a chance to get off the field. And that was a good adjustment on that stop in particular, when the back ended up being the target, and they were able to keep him short of the sticks.
Complete beyond the marker. And that is a touchdown. The Thunderbirds continue piling it on here in the 4th. I love plays like this, Brock. Sometimes you just got to ask your dude, show me what you got, man. Show off those wheels, and he did just that.
Yeah, beauty in simplicity, right?
Yep.
Now, when you run that fly route, you got to win right from the jump. And you got to protect yourself from the sideline, too. Don't get pushed to the boundary. Give your quarterback room to throw it up, and you can find pay dirt.
That one splits the uprights. And the Thunderbirds continue piling onto this lead. And after they reach the end zone, they'll kick it off and turn things over to the defense. Fielded at the 7. Coverage team gets him down at the 26-yard line. Time for us to get another look at this Tampa Bay offense. And all game, they have struggled to attack this deficit. Maybe they can do a little window dressing here. They're out and set, 1st and 10. They'll throw to begin this drive. He's got the hook up to Watkins. And this one gets to the 33-yard line before it's stopped. 2nd and 3 now.
At the 33-yard line.
He's going to throw this one. Pocket isn't holding up. They're able to drop him. And that pushes them back. 3rd down coming up.
Time we offered some serious blanket praise for this entire group defensively. The guys up front, they've certainly generated the pressure. Everybody on the back end in coverage, well, they're holding down their assignments to delay these throws. This is going to be one tomorrow, one fun tape to watch, because 6 sacks, hard to come by in this league.
And they'll make the stop up at the 46-yard line. Up to the line, and they're set. 1st and 10.
6-yard line.
Out of the gun, they'll look to throw. Hits his running back. And he'll cross the 50 and start pushing onto the opposing side of the field. 2nd and 6 coming up here. Back to throw. This will be caught by Watkins. And he's brought down after pushing to that 35-yard line. They gain 14 on the play. And that's good for a Buccaneer first down. Shotgun snap, looking to throw. He completes it in traffic. And he's able to drive this to the 29 before the stop. After a good pickup, they've got 2nd and 4.
At the 29-yard line.
Out of the shotgun, they'll give it to him inside. And they make the tackle at the 28-yard line. 2 yards on the pickup, and that leaves him with 3rd down and 3.
3rd and 3.
Watkins, the motion man here. 3rd down from the gun. And that's a win for the pass rush. Hit as he threw it, leads to the incompletion. 4th down coming up.
This is why we hear about closing speed so often when you evaluate players. You know, once he senses the pressure, he's getting rid of that ball. It takes a player who can close quickly to get to him before it's released and alter that throw.
And he's taken down with a short gain to the 25. So the run doesn't get the yardage. It's a turnover on downs.
Hey, I am all for aggression. You get 4 downs, go for it. But I do have to wonder here, Kate, after being denied once again, is there going to be a trust level on that sidelines to go for it the next time they get this shot?
And the drive will start out with a 1st and 10. The running back gets it on the draw. And the defense gets there to force a small loss.
As a play caller, Kate, I would always be a little cautious of a 1st down draw. I like it better when that defense is anticipating pass. Well, and they were only anticipating getting the backfield and making that running back feel the pain.
Hands it to the receiver here in motion. Oh, look at this sweep. And it'll be brought down along the 25-yard line. The Buccaneers add another DB. 3rd down coming up. Now looking to throw. That's a catch. Looks like he's in bounds. Good effort, but still short of the 1st. And that one goes for a gain of 11. And it sets up 1st down. Now a give running right. And their struggles on the ground continue as he's tackled after a small gain. 2nd down now, 7 to go.
Brings up 2nd and 7.
Another carry for him. And he's tackled with the 1st down yardage.
That's the type of call that offensively, man, it just builds so much confidence. I don't even think they were looking to get the 1st down. Just get to a manageable 3rd down. But instead, they move the chains. And that is one disheartening look on that defense.
And he's caught behind the line for a loss.
I think this is the part where they run away, Kate. As in run away from that monster. He's just too strong a presence to try to block them inside. And that time, it cost him some yards.
He goes back to him yet again. Complete. And he's going to be across midfield, close to the 45 before going out. All plays on the table here for 3rd and 3. They'll try and pick this up on the ground. And their struggles on the ground continue as he's tackled after a small gain. It's a gain of only 1 yard. That's going to leave him with a 4th and 2. So from a mile away, they'll send out the field goal unit to take a shot at this one. This from the right hash and a considerable distance. And this kick is good. He needed to get all of it there, and he did. And a fairly insurmountable lead grows by 3 more.
Yet another shot across the bow of a ship that's already sinking here, Kate. He could have made that field goal. Heck, he could have turned around and kicked it directly at his coach because it feels like they've got this one in hand.
Coverage team gets him down at the 26-yard line. Tampa Bay are ready to head out to the field. They passed on the field goal, didn't get it on 4th down. Interested to see what they do if a similar situation arises on this next possession. Throwing from the gun here. Catch made by Mitchell. And he'll get it out to the 34 before he's tracked down. We've hit the 2-minute warning here in Tampa. Buccaneers hoping to do some window dressing in the time remaining. After a good pickup, they're set up with 2nd and short. From the 34. He's got it to him yet again, and that one is caught. It's a gain of 4. And that's good enough for a Tampa first down. Back to throw. They'll get this one to Watkins. And they're going to bring him down just on the other side of midfield. 1st and 10 from a yard shy of midfield. They kick the running back in motion. And that's going to be knocked away, incomplete.
Any DB prefers a highlight reel interception to just forcing an incomplete pass. But as soon as he realized a pick wasn't possible on the play, well, he gets his hands on it and made sure it wasn't completed.
2nd and 10 now. An all-around tough play for him. He took a shot on the release, and it definitely affected the throw. It's incomplete. No connection on the last play, and now it's 3rd down. Throwing now from the gun. He's got time. Pocket isn't holding up. They're able to drop him. And the defense comes through to back him up ahead of 4th down.
Let's be real clear. There is nothing lucky about number 7 at all for this quarterback. The 7th time he's been taken to the ground for a sack. This defense, they made adjustments. They're incorporating a variety of different looks and blitzes, and it just seems like, Kate, constantly they are a step ahead of whatever this offense is trying to do to protect this quarterback.
The visitors headed back out on offense. Their quarterback returning to the field now. And on that last drive, Brock, he crossed a notable threshold in passing yards for the season. Always nice when you can reach one of those plateaus to look back on after the year's over. And it took a couple of guys to haul him down there after a gain of just 1. So something to be proud of, Brock, as they come away with the win. And this is exactly how they wanted to go into that bye week, partner, with a victory and some positives to build on in that nice extra time off. With Brock Heward and our entire crew, I'm Kate Scott. You've been watching the NFL on EA Sports. It's a well-earned win for the Thunderbirds. As with that, we sign off from Tampa.